Okay, so next we're going to install VIM. VIM is just a text editor. If you're familiar with Notepad, it's that type of thing. If you're familiar with Notepad, it's that type of thing. On most Linux and Unix system, there's a text editor called VI. VI. That's an old text editor, and it's good to learn VI because when you go to a Linux or Unix system, VI is usually installed. So at least you can open configuration files and work on the system. VIM is VI improved. And that seems to be the one that a lot of people are using now. So that's why I thought I'd include it in this video. For the most part, VI and VIM pretty much will work the same. So let's go ahead and get into it here. First, we have to install it. First, we'll run a update. Then we'll install VIM. Say yes down here. Okay, so it's done installing. Okay, so using VIM is definitely difficult if you've never worked with that type of thing before. So it takes a while to learn, but what we'll do here, I'll just show you how to create a text file, open a text file, type in some text, and then save the text file. Okay, so first let's clear the screen. And we'll say run Vim and give it a file name. You can name it anything you want. So we'll just go with my file name. Okay, so now Vim is running and we have a blank piece of paper. Okay, now press the I to go to insert mode. Okay, so you can start typing text. So I'll press I, and you'll notice down here it says now we're in insert mode. Here you can type in any text. Press the enter key to move down a line. Okay. Next, to save this file, first we need to press the escape key to get out of insert mode. So we'll press the escape key. Okay. Next, we need to save the file. So Shift and a colon, and you can see down here we have a colon, and then we do a write and a quit and press the enter key. Now we have the VIM file. Now we have the VIM text file saved. If we do a ls, we can see we have a file name here. Now we can reopen that in VI. We can reopen the file in VIM. Now that we have the file open, we can close it without saving. We go colon and then quit and an exclamation point, and that means quit without saving. Another quick way to view the file, we can use the cat command. Use the cat command on my file name, and that displays the contents of the file. Okay, so something I wanted to show you here was what I'm doing here is file completion. See, I type in the word cat and then my, and then I hit the tab key, and the Linux system will complete the file name if it can tell which file it is. Okay, see, if I just type in the M and press tab, it can't tell the difference between the media and the my file name, so it doesn't do anything. I press it a second time and it gives me a choice of these three items. So if I type in my, it can recognize which file I want. So if I type in my, it can determine which file I want. Press tab, and that completes the file name for me, so I don't have to type in the whole thing. So that's called tab completion. Press enter and it runs the command. Okay, so just to follow my notepad file here, we can list the files, and then it displays the files that we created. We can copy the file, CP. We can say copy, my, press tab, my, press tab again, and we'll say name it my file name 2. So we do ls. Now we have 2 files. Go cat, my file name 2, and it displays the contents. Same contents that's in my file name. So we copied the file. We can do a ls -l on my file name. It gives us the information on the file. We can use the touch command to update the timestamp. Now if we run ls -l again, you can see the timestamp changed to 1312. We can also create files with touch. Touch my file name 3. Do ls. Now we have a my file name 3. If we cat that file to display it, there's nothing in it. It's just an empty file. Just a quick way to create a file. We can remove files with the remove command. No output means it worked. So my file name 3 is now gone. My file name 2 is now gone. And then this rm minus r, that's to delete a folder with files in it. Okay, so this rm minus r is to remove folders that have files in it. If we create a folder, say we just name it AAA, then we move into that folder, create 3 files with touch, then we'll cd back. Now if we try to remove that folder with remove directory, it can't remove that folder because it's not empty. See, if we make a folder BBB, that's just an empty folder, right? Then if we run remove directory on that folder, it can delete it because it's empty. But we want to delete a folder that has files in it. AAA has 3 files in it. So what we can do is remove minus R. Minus R means to move into the folder recursively and remove the files. And now that folder is gone. Okay, no AAA folder. So this rm minus R, that's considered a dangerous command because you can delete files that you didn't mean to. So only use it when absolutely necessary. Okay, so something you have to be aware of, there is no undo. So if we say undo BBB, it says bash cannot do that. Okay, so we've already talked about copy. Okay, so we talked about how to copy a file, but let's talk about copying a folder. Okay, so we've talked about copying a file, but let's talk about copying a folder. See, if we create a folder, we'll go into that folder, then we'll create 3 files, then we'll move back. So now if we try to copy that folder, copy AAA, make a copy, make a copy of the AAA folder and name it BBB. It says I can't do that. We have to use the -R. So now we say copy recursively the AAA folder and name it BBB. Okay, so we can do ls on BBB, and it shows us we have 3 files in there, same as AAA. There's also a move command. We'll say move AAA to CCC. So this is basically a rename. So now if we do a ls, we can see AAA is gone, but we have a CCC. So now if we do an ls on CCC, we can see it's the same folder that AAA was. See, AAA is gone. Okay. So let's remove these folders just to clean up. We can do multiple deletes. Now you can see BBB is gone, CCC is gone. Okay, so I thought we'd run through file permissions. File permissions is a pretty big topic. It would be very tough to learn it in 5 minutes. I thought I'd just give you a quick overview. If we first let's create a folder. Just go with AAA. We'll CD into the folder. Then we'll create a file. And if we do a ls -L, -L for a long listing, it shows us a long listing here. That's this line here. So this first part is the file permissions. Okay, let's create a folder in here too. We'll create a folder, call it my folder. And then we'll do a long listing. So here you can see the difference. My folder is a directory, right? Directory is just a fancy name for a folder. The first character shows that it's a directory. Okay? File named 1 is just a text file. So there's no item here. It's just a dash. Okay? Then we have 3 sets of letters: read, write, and execute. Okay? So it might be a little easier to see here. Read, write, execute. Read, write, execute. Read, write, execute. Okay, so here I split it up. So if you're the owner of the file, these permissions are yours. If you're part of the group, these permissions are yours. Everyone else, they call it the world, has the last 3 permissions. Okay, so D is directory, R is for read, W is for write, X is for execute. Okay, so I am the owner of the file. The first three letters are the owner permissions. So I created the file, so I can read it and I can write to it. These three permissions, read dash dash, are the group permissions. So the group, members of the group, can read it, but they can't write to it, they can't change the contents, and they can't execute it. And then the rest of the world can read it, but they can't write to it and they can't execute it. So that's just a brief overview of file permissions. Sometimes you'll see an L here too. Do a ls minus L at root. You can see some of these are links. It would be similar to a shortcut in Windows, links. There's more to links. There's different types of links, but that's what they're showing here with the arrows. Okay, so that's just a brief overview of these permissions. Now, we can also change the permissions. We use the command change mode to change the permissions. And there's different ways to do it. You can do it with numbers, or you can do it with plus and minus signs. I prefer the numbers. These are the only two you really need. Like, let's say I created this file here, file named 1, and I don't want anyone to read it or look at it. I can go change mode to 700 on file name 1. Okay, now if I list that file again, you can see the permissions are turned off for everyone else. And with the 7, I also have execute permission. Execute permission is mainly for scripts, so you can run a script, and we'll talk about that later on in the file. We do a little bit with scripting. Another common change is 755. So now I can read, write, execute, and other people can read it and execute it. Read it and execute. Let's say I want them to be able to execute my script, but I don't want them to be able to change it, to write to it. They cannot change the file, they cannot write to it. Okay? So there's many variations. You know, it just depends on how you want to set up your system. That's what I would consider the two main ones.